Well, hello everyone. It's Sibyl Star, and I am here to give the astrology forecast for the week of October 17th to the 23rd. I call it MoonDay morning astrology because it comes out on Monday, and Monday is the day of the moon. And so I do talk a little bit about the moon. The moon moves so quickly, it doesn't always have a huge impact in the big picture, but it really has a large impact in the moment because it's our emotional body and how we respond to the world around us. And that actually creates our experience of our lives. So anyway, we will start with the bigger picture though. We're going to start with the sun is in Libra. 24 to 30 degrees this week. The sun moves into Scorpio on Sunday, October 23rd at 7:37 a.m. Pacific. So there will be a big shift. Libra is very much about balance, about harmony, about cooperation, how to work with each other, finding balance between self and other, and all of the ways in our world that we're seeking balance, harmony, serenity, and inner peace. Scorpio is much different energy. It's very much about emotional honesty. It's about depth of emotion. With Scorpio, it's about feeling your way through life. Scorpio will not let you not feel. You can try, but Scorpio keeps pushing until you do. But we'll be talking more about Scorpio in the coming weeks. So this week, there's two big events, cosmic events that are happening. And the first one is that the sun is conjunct the star Arcturus. And from the 17th to the 20th, I would say all of those days, it's a very high frequency angelic energy. The Arcturians are known as cosmic midwives. They assist at the two major portals of transition, birth and death. And so we might be seeing both of those happening, especially I think as we move into the darker time of the year, a lot of transitioning into the other side, a lot of people leaving the planet. We're already seeing it. And to know that, I think that the key to remember is they're having assistance from these angelic beings. I just recently had a meditation where with the Arcturians, they showed up and showed me my birth. I had a very difficult birth, and they showed me how they assisted with my birth because I almost didn't make it. It was a very difficult birth. Anyway, but it's a very high frequency energy, very healing energy. They are apparently it is the only energy in our Milky Way galaxy that is non-polarized, because so much of our Milky Way galaxy is about learning through polarization, through the experience of separation from source, and then remembering that we never left source. The other big event, oh, and by the way, you can see Arcturus, it's a large orange star, and it's what's called circumpolar. So it moves around the pole, around the pole star, but it really never comes to the horizon. So that's why it can be seen year round. And if you can find the Big Dipper, the handle of the Big Dipper points right to Arcturus. It's a very bright star, one of the brightest in the sky. The second cosmic event that is happening is that we can see the Andromeda Galaxy at night here now. Whereas we can't really, no, we can see Arcturus, right? Even though it is what was called conjunct the sun because it never sets. But the Andromeda Galaxy, we're in alignment with it through opposition. So it is seen in the night sky. It's not seen year round. From October 18th to the 21st, the Andromeda Galaxy is very much the energy of the Divine Mother. They say the Andromeda Galaxy gave birth to the Milky Way galaxy, thus creating polarity consciousness here in the Milky Way galaxy, which is one of our major not really an obstacle. It is what makes us grow. It is what we're using for our own evolutionary process here in the Milky Way galaxy. But the Divine Mother galaxy, the Andromeda galaxy, is bringing in a new paradigm for Earth. It is about how our reality changes in response to our perspective. When we change how we see the world, our world changes. And to know that I've had that happen just recently, changing my attitude from one of complaining to one of gratitude, and everything changed in my world in regards to that specific situation. So anyway, we're being activated by these two powerful frequencies, and so allow yourself to receive energy transmissions from both. Just ask for it and you will receive it. All right. Now, the sun this week is also square Pluto. And Pluto is very much about detoxification, purifying, cleansing. We may have Pluto represents our karmic wounds, our old wounds. They may show up. But the thing about Pluto, because it does rule Scorpio, it's about feeling. It's allowing yourself to feel the emotion. Okay. But then to let it go, and to know that the emotion actually lasts for about 90 seconds. What happens after that is the story that we've created around it. That's why it is so important to, as we are in this detoxification process, that we allow ourselves to feel it, because that will release it, and then don't hang on to the story. Let the story go. But with these cosmic energies in the field, to know that the frequency is really high, so it can transmute this energy once you let it go, and especially once you let the story go. And it's also happening on a collective level. So Venus in Libra is also closely following the sun. Venus rules Libra, as we say in astrology, and it's a very beautiful energy, very much about harmony, serenity, creativity, and beauty. But it's square Pluto. And so it puts the focus on relationships, letting go of old grudges and dealing with unresolved conflict. Like a snake shedding its skin is just another area where it's really going to show up. And to be able to recognize we can have a different response. I just recently read something that said, it doesn't matter the circumstances or what happens. What matters is your response, because it is your response that actually creates your experience, and your experience is your reality. So it's really up to us how we choose to respond, but we're having an opportunity to shed like a snake, to release old stuff we no longer need. Okay, and then also Venus moves into Scorpio on the same day, October 23rd, same day as the sun. They're traveling very closely together. Their exact conjunction is actually on that day, on October 23rd. Venus in Scorpio wants deep and authentic emotional connection, emotional honesty, and vulnerability. And that's actually how we heal our relationships, is with emotional honesty and allowing ourselves to be vulnerable and showing our heart. All right. Now, the next thing that's happening is Jupiter is retrograde in Aries. Jupiter, is retrograde in Aries. And this week, well, no, actually it's next week, but it's coming onto that. It's at 1 degree, moves into 0 degrees Aries this week. And next week on the 28th, there's the exact direct Aries point conjunction next week, retrograde. And Jupiter then moves into Pisces. But this week it's really activating that Aries point, and next week as well, then it moves into Pisces. And Aries point is the beginning of everything. Now, Jupiter is still retrograde, but it's going to go direct, I think in December. And at that point, it is going to conjunct Aries point again, going direct on the winter solstice. So it's really a whole new cycle is starting, but we're getting to see, we're still in the shedding our skin, losing, releasing what we no longer need, but beginning to have a sense of maybe, what's happening. Okay, and we might find that something new shows up. but also asks us to let go and surrender, because what the new that is showing up is not fully manifested now. All right. We still have Mars in Gemini at 24 degrees, squaring Neptune at 23 degrees of Pisces. It's a very tight square. This is an aspect of what Mars has to do with action. And it has to do with our direction in life. It has to do with our passion, with life force, how we build life force in ourselves. And so on one hand, it can be a time of just simply not knowing what you're doing, and to know that's okay. As they say, all who wander are not lost. It can be a time of wandering, and because when Mars goes direct in January, you might find yourself in a completely different place for a couple of reasons. One, I feel like one of the meanings of this is that it's about the shattering of the illusion. Neptune is very much about the illusion, and Mars and Neptune together can often indicate lies and deception. And we know there's lies and deception that are so blatant in the field right now, but they're so blatant. You almost have to work really hard to not see it because it's so blatant, and to know that that is the truth. Mars and Neptune together says that you really have to follow your own inner GPS, that the outer world is just not giving you good information or good direction, and the only truth is coming from within. And then the other shattering of the illusion is that we are separate from source. We have the external world around us, which we know is a reflection of ourselves collectively, and then, of course, personally. And I feel like with the shattering of the illusion that we are no longer separate from source, we really come to recognize that we are creating our world in every moment by our responses to what is happening. And ultimately, our world will change the more we continue to respond in ways that really serve us. Okay. And the other thing is to really focus on what excites us. And I've been watching Bashar lately. Many of you, I'm sure, are familiar with him, and he's been talking. It's some old material, but yet really important, about what he calls the formula, which is about following what excites us. And what he really explained it, what excites us in the moment. Let's just say you have a choice between doing the dishes and calling a friend. Well, our Protestant work ethic that we have here would say, oh, well, you must do the dishes, then call your friend. Mr. R says that is backwards, that if what excites you is to call your friend, because then that raises your energy level, it raises your vibration, it raises your frequency, and then you have the ability to then do the dishes. If you do the dishes first, you may not feel like calling your friend when you're done. That's just a very small example. But he says in every moment, when you choose what really excites you, it opens the door to synchronicity. And synchronicity continues to open to take us where we need to be. And we may not see where that is, but it is about to be in that place where that passion in your heart is lit, that fuel is lit. And so it's about feeding the light within, not the fear from without. Okay. All right. Now we still have the Uranus Saturn square is happening. They've come the closest that they're going to be, and they're starting to separate, but they're still very powerful. And the eclipses the lunar eclipses are really, I feel, going to activate a huge breakthrough in this energy. But I feel like what this is saying is so much about the old paradigm is collapsing as the new paradigm is emerging. We know that, and we can't fix the old one. So the key, just like in following your excitement, that is what is going to show us our direction and the new that is coming in, and to allow for it to happen, because we've reached a point where the evolutionary need for change is colliding with the resistance to change and fear. So know that they're both coming up, but to follow your excitement, because we're in your passion, because that's where the truth is. There's beginning to be breakthrough in areas where we have felt stuck as Saturn, and as Saturn goes direct on Sunday. the 23rd as well. So we have several big things happening on Sunday, October 23rd. We have the Sun and Venus moving into Scorpio, and Saturn is going direct. And most of the outer planets, I don't really see a huge difference in my world when they're retrograde, except for Saturn. When Saturn goes direct, things start to move. Okay. And Uranus continues to go direct. So they're going to continue separating, but they're still in range of impacting us. All right. So we also have some powerful eclipses coming up, and they're not happening this week, but I still wanted to talk about them to prepare you for them. We have the solar eclipse in Scorpio on October 25th. I'll be talking more about that. It's at 2 degrees of Scorpio and also conjunct Venus and square Pluto. And I feel like this eclipse is so much about healing the trauma from the old wounds. Pluto in Scorpio is really, Pluto in Capricorn. Pluto rules Scorpio, but is in Capricorn right now. So it's an out of sign square, but yet it's in effect. And Pluto, Capricorn has so much to do with the patriarchal paradigm in which we are living. And Pluto shows us the wounds. So this piece, I really feel like it is personal as well as collective. It's about detoxifying not only the physical body, but the emotional body, where we hold old energy. Scorpio and Pluto are so much about the emotional body, where we hold old grudges, old stories, old emotional patterns that we developed to survive, but we no longer need. They no longer are really working for us. They're not serving us. And it's also about old conditioning from this paradigm, from our families, from our culture, all of the shoulds that we think we should be, should do, but really aren't. And baggage from others. That's another thing to realize, that we have picked up things that belong to other people. And I also heard something recently said that if you're feeling really heavy and kind of pulled down, you might be carrying somebody else's stuff, and to really look at what you need to lay down that is not your stuff. Okay. All right. And it's also about the cleansing and clearing of the lower frequency emotions that we hold in our lower chakras. That's really what this is about. This is where the real detoxification and cleansing are coming, because those lower chakras hold those, really difficult emotions of anger, blame, judgment, guilt, shame. And a lot of that stuff really does belong to somebody else, not to you. It's something you picked up. But it is what keeps us attached to the 3D matrix that holds fear. Okay. And for us to be able to rise up and free ourselves, liberate ourselves from this 3D matrix into a more what we call fourth density 5D world. That's really where we're heading. We can't take this old baggage with us. And so this is a really important eclipse to release this stuff and to heal through compassion and forgiveness. Forgiveness is the most helps us transmute the energy for ourselves and others. And it's also conjunct something called the Shapley attractor, which is a galactic black hole. It's the largest in our galaxy. I don't know that much about it, but I know it's really powerful. That I do know. And I know that it is allowing cosmic energy in from other galaxies, which will help transmute this energy as we let it go. We have a very powerful lunar eclipse on November 8th. At 16 degrees of Taurus. That is on election day. It's conjunct Uranus. That's all I'm going to say. And to know that, because I'll be talking more about it as we get to it. But whenever Uranus is involved, it says expect the unexpected. There's something really unexpected that is like lightning striking that could change everything. Okay. All right. Now, so this week, though, what is happening with the moon, as I talked about. So, the moon represents your emotional body. It is where we store our memories. And it's really the most intimate aspect of ourselves. And it's actually really, I feel like, where we really meet the world, because we meet the world by how we feel about it. So on Monday, The moon is in Cancer, which is very sensitive, emotional, can be defensive. It's opposite Pluto. So it's so important to not take anything personal. You may trigger someone's light or their shadow. I just read this recently and it was really lovely. It says something like, you may trigger your power may trigger someone's light or their shadow. But the key to remember is their response has nothing to do with you and everything to do with them and what is going on inside of them. And so it's so important to recognize that and to stay in your own vibrational frequency and not react. Okay. Because we can be a lightning rod for other people. All right. And to not take it personally, because the moon is so sensitive and it has that tendency to take things personally, which are not really meant for them. On Tuesday and Wednesday, the moon is in Leo. And Leo, of course, is fun. It's fun. It's childlike. Even though it's in the middle of the work week, it might be really important to maybe have a creative project or go watch a movie or spend time with your children. Might be a really fun time to take the children to the park. Do whatever it is fun. It's opposite Saturn, so it's also about taking care of responsibilities and owning your own emotions. Thursday through Saturday, the moon is in Virgo. A really good time to get organized, reassess what may be disorganized in your life and work on it. It's also opposite Neptune. And so, Neptune is in its own sign, Pisces, and the Pisces Virgo axis, has a lot to do with the desire to rescue or to be rescued. So it's really important to recognize that you can't fix anybody else, that they have their own path to take and you have yours, and to honor that. All right. And then Sunday, the moon moves into Libra. And so that should be the moon in Libra is a pleasant, harmonious day, that potential. I don't see any challenging aspects that day. So, anyway, I'm wishing you all a wonderful week, to know that we are really traveling in the cosmic field. This cosmic field is opening. We are making a huge shift. It is absolutely true. It's coming in from all directions, and to know it's in the field and it's our choice of how to work with the energy that is in the field. All right, sending you all blessings and namaste.